Alright, so what I'm going to show you guys today is how to take your animal drawing and to enlarge it. So I told you that there was a technique that we were going to use. So here I have a picture of a fox, and my first step is going to be to cut all of the extra white space off. And I need you guys to cut straight. No, your pictures are going to be full size. Mine is smaller because I'm demonstrating on a small piece of paper, so I need it to be smaller. Because a big piece of paper does not fit under the projector. So I need you to cut as carefully as you can. Alright, so here is my picture of a fox. And my first step is I'm going to take a black thin pen. And I recommend a pen for this. And I do have pens you guys can use. And I'm going to start by using the gridding method. Now, here's the thing. It's really important that you grid this straight lines. I'm not going to print you a second copy. You cannot erase this. So it needs to be absolutely straight, which means taking your time if need be. Okay, so I'm going to line this all up. And I'm just going to start the first step by getting my X across. And then I'm going to go ahead and add my plus. I need to make sure that's completely straight. Excuse me. Thank you. Okay. And for the animal drawing, to make our lives easier, we're going to grid each one of these 4 squares again. This is going to help that we get everything drawn in as detailed as possible. So see how in this square I've now made an X again? So I'm going to do the same thing for all of these. And when I do this on my photograph, I want to do it in pen, but when I do it on my paper, I need to do it in pencil. And do you guys remember what pencil I should use to create a grid? 2H, yeah, the lightest one. If not, an HB will work. Okay, so I'm going to line this all up. Yes, it is, but this is going to help you make sure that your drawing is as accurate as possible. So when I'm done, my picture will be completely gridded. And then I am going to go ahead and take my lightest pencil, and I'm going to get this set up. So my photograph is what size? True, but what shape is it? Square. Square. So does it matter which direction my paper is? No. If my photograph was horizontal, which direction should my paper be? Horizontal. And if it's vertical? Vertical. Okay. I'm saying this because sadly there have been times when people have gotten confused and they've had to start over. So we don't want that to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and take an H pencil. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up in the corner my photograph. Now if it helps you, you can take a small piece of tape and you could do like loop tape on the back so it doesn't move around. You're then going to take a yardstick. So I'm going to have the yardsticks out, and you're going to line up the yardstick going on the middle of this diagonal and make sure that it goes through the corner. So do you see what's happening now? Hey, look at that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this down and I'm going to draw a line. And I'm going to move my picture out of the way. See this spot over here where the line isn't? I'm going to measure that. So I'm going to go ahead and measure that, and we have just about 2.5 inches. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to get that set up. I'm going to go ahead and make a mark, and I'm going to connect this line from here to here, and I'm going to draw a line. Now this whole area here is my extra space. My drawing is not going to go in this area. I'm not going to cut this area off though, because I might want to use it to test pencils. And that would be a good space to test my pencils. Now some of you are going to have almost no extra space. Some of you are going to have extra space on the side. Some of you are going to have extra space on the bottom. Your extra space could be pretty much anywhere on your paper depending on your photograph. Now I try to help you guys out and size your photos in a way that's helpful and all that goodness. Now what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to go ahead and grid my paper just the same as my fox picture. So I'm going to go ahead and continue gridding it, and I'm going to do everything exactly the same, and I'm going to work really hard to make sure everything is straight as possible, because it really does matter if it's not straight. Oops, that's not straight. Oh, I made a boo-boo. Oh well. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and continue on to grid this as completely as possible. Now your paper is going to be taped down to some special drawing boards. And that's good news for you guys, because some of the tables have been written on, and so there's grooves in the table. And we want to make sure those grooves don't show up in our drawing. Okay, now that my paper is gridded like my fox, I would make sure that I could start drawing, and I would look at each individual square. So here's a square, here's a triangle and a triangle, and now I'm going to really pay attention to the shape that's inside. Now this is very familiar, right? Because when did we just do this? Squirrel. Yeah, so the whole idea for this is to work on getting a nice drawing done. And we're using the same method that we did for the squirrel. Now, my picture here, I'm not enlarging it too much. It's only probably about 4 times the size of this little photograph. But eventually, you guys are going to make your picture is going to be like 4 or 5 times the size, where it's going to end up to be an 18 by 24 piece of paper to enlarge your entire picture on. Your grade is going to depend on 2 things. So the first one is the contour drawing. So step 1 is, once you get everything gridded, you're going to do the contour line. Only the contour line, no shading. On this assignment, if you start shading anything, the eyes, the nose, the claws, the hairs, whatever, I'm going to make you erase it and start over for not following the directions. And I'm really clear on that. Okay? You need to draw lightly with the contour line in case something's in the wrong place and we need to move it. When everything's been approved on your contour line, you're going to be allowed to move on to the value, but that's going to be 1 grade as the contour line. So you could have an A on the contour line, but maybe like a C or a B on the shading, or work a little harder and get that A, right? So this is the process that we are going to use to enlarge the picture. Are there any questions? All right, so I'm going to give you the last couple minutes of class to continue working on your value techniques. And then I'm going to post this video on Schooloop so you guys can watch it again when it's time to enlarge your pictures on Thursday, okay? All right, friends.